Hello, everyone. Welcome back to On the Fly. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 2022-2023 World Junior Team Canada roster. So when we look at this is going to be my live reaction. I will come out with a full preview in a couple of days, so be sure to be on the lookout for that one. But as we jump into here, I'll throw the roster that Team Canada just announced right up here, right up that way. And so when we take a look at this team, it's an interesting team. They do sort by letters, so we'll sort of work our way through here. With the main real players here that I'm looking at with Bedard, Fantilli, Othman as well, I think, and Shane Wright, obviously, for the forwards. Look up on the defensive side, not as well known, but Zellweger from last year. You have Brandt Clark from the NHL, which was on loan. And the goaltenders, we'll see how they fare. For me, I don't really see the goaltenders being that well this year. Compared to previous years, at least, they have been a lot better. But with Gaudreau, Milic, you're not going to have too many problems. But we'll sort of work our way through here. One of the big and some of the bigger sort of leave-outs from this team. So we'll start here just with who's on the team. We have Caden Bankier, Connor Bedard, Colton Dach, Zach Dean, Adam Fantilli, Nathan Gaucher, Dylan Guenther, Zach Ostafchuk, Brendan Othman, Joshua Roy, Reed Schaefer, Logan Stankoven, Shane Wright. And on the defense, we have Nolan Allen, Brandt Clark, Ethan Del Mastro, Tyson Hines, Kevin Korchinski, Jack Mathieu, Olin Zellweger for the goaltenders, as I mentioned, Gaudreau and Milic. So when we take a look at this team, pretty solid up the middle. For me, I was pretty surprised not to see Back and Bolduc here. And one of the players that's, for me at least, that was on my projected roster. Bankier 1 and Schaefer 2 were the two players that I didn't have that were actually on the team now. So they clearly had up pretty good training camps. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they were on this team. And as for the defense, one of the big ones that was very surprising to me when I first saw this list is Jack Mathieu in for Carson Lambos. And Carson Lambos is a player who got drafted by Minnesota, relatively high pick, and I was really expecting him to be on here. However, one I think the main reason for this is due to the lack of right D, but really, when you look at it, you have Brandt Clark and Owen Zellweger. Both will play the right side. And I think overall, having a guy like Carson Lambos who can provide that offensive punch from the back end is really going to have helped them. We'll see if that's the end result, if that's really the thing that holds Canada back. Jack Mathieu, still a good player. I'm not saying he's awful, but not really to the skill level of a guy like Carson Lambos. And I'm very, very surprised to see him not on this list. Without reason, in my opinion, must have had a really bad camp for him not to have made this team. But overall, this is sort of what we have. Goaltending, Gaudreau, Milic, not necessarily the worst things on paper. Obviously, Canada has in the past had pretty good goaltending. So when you look at two players, relatively new, not going to blow your socks off. Milic is eligible for the 2023 draft. Gaudreau was drafted last year. So for me, I just think the goaltending could be a little bit better, but unfortunately, Canada doesn't have a lot to work with this year. So I do sort of expect them to have that sort of depth in terms of their goaltending. But overall, we sort of look here. Forwards, pretty solid. You got sort of your top 2, top 3, top 4 with Shane Wright as well. Don't forget about him. The NHL loans, Dylan Guenther. All those players are going to have quite a big impact on their teams, especially when you look at it. They're coming back from the NHL where the game's that much faster, coming into a relatively junior-sized league. It's going to be a change of pace for them. We'll see if they can adapt or if, in fact, they play back to their NHL standards, which I do hope they do. I think Canada definitely has a shot this year, especially with the firepower they have up front. Their defense, a lot of them are offensive-minded. Tyson Hines, for one, is probably the most defensive-minded defenseman on this sort of team. I'd also look at a guy like Ethan Del Mastro, who I do sort of expect Hines and Del Mastro to play a pivotal role on that back end, to be sort of those shutdown pairings. Hines, Korchinski, I think will be a line. I think Allen as well. Del Mastro, I see sort of with Zellweger, I think sort of what they want to do is keep the players that have played together before. Del Mastro, Zellweger, both returning players from last year's World Junior team. So I'll be interested to see what they do with the defense. And as I said, I'll have a full sort of preview coming up in a few days, which will give you all you need to know, your game schedules, your lines, your projected lines at that. But yeah, so if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, if you really like to consider subscribing, tell all your friends and comment down below your thoughts on Team Canada. Until next time, see ya.